Okay, hello everybody. We're going to do some experimenting tonight. We're live on Instagram, and that's your phone, and we're live on Instagram and on Facebook. What we want to be able to do is share our screen so that we can answer some questions. We did a live earlier today at noon. If you haven't caught that and you're interested, hop over and watch the video when we're done here. Tonight we're talking to dads and mom, but we wanted an opportunity to have both mom and dad present, because I know that when mom comes to dad and says, I want to spend $600, he's like, huh? So we wanted to have the opportunity to have Eric here so that he could talk from dad's perspective, kind of about, about what he knows about the program. I mean, obviously he's been here and he edits a lot of stuff, and he's done all the videos, and, so he's been with us the whole time. But also I think I would love for you to talk about just sort of, because we do a lot of parent coaching together. Eric and I are parent coaches, and we coach a lot of families within Thinking, Feeling, Willing.
Yes.
And so he can, well, I'll just let you talk about the value that you see from our program as we're giving it to families.
Well, I think I said it on a different video, but often when you think about when you're in school and you go, why do I have to learn this? Why am I doing this? And they don't often tell you why you have to do this. Right. It's just because the state said that you have to do this, but you're not given a context sometimes. And you're kind of treated like you're a drone that's kind of stamped out one after the other, and everybody gets the exact same education, whether that fits with you or not. Some people thrive in that. And
yeah, because some dads are like, great, my kid's normal, everything's normal, I don't have to think about anything else.
Yeah, I mean, when I was in like kindergarten and first grade, there was teachers telling my parents I was gifted. Then by fifth grade, it was like,
what's wrong with this kid?
Flunking, and he seems like he's not super smart.
But it had nothing to do with your IQ, because you had a really high IQ. It had everything to do with like sort of how you're being served.
Yeah, and I wasn't having it. But I wasn't having it, but I felt like that, I just started to feel kind of disillusioned with the process. And that doesn't happen to everybody, but I guess where I'm going with that is this curriculum can be custom made for your child.
Right. And
can meet them where they're at. And it gives them the perspective of, oh, I understand why I'm learning this.
It's kind of like, it's this whole to parts thing. It's like understanding the big picture and then coming down. And I think, honestly, as more dads start to understand that, then they'll be all for it. I think the first question that a lot of dads ask is it academically rigorous? And I would say when you are homeschooling, it can be as academically rigorous as you'd like it to be.
Yes.
Waldorf in general, rigorous isn't the right word. I don't even know the right word. It's not rigor, but it is definitely like above and beyond rigor, I would think, because of the way it has you thinking.
You get out what you put in it.
Absolutely. Absolutely, with regards to homeschooling and our program and all of that in general. But I think, too, with regards to, because if you are really curious and really curious about whether or not Waldorf is appropriate for your family, just do a Google search, Waldorf graduates. Heads of state, heads of companies, actors, Peace Prize winners. I mean, all across humanity, from all tech industry, so many people from so many different walks of life that are Waldorf graduates. And I think what I come back to often is when my middle son, we moved to San Diego, and he stayed in Salt Lake City with my ex-husband, and that meant he had to go to public school. And as a homeschooling mom, when that happens, you're like, I'm gonna hold my breath and cross my fingers. It could go great, or it could be like horrible crash into the mountain. And it was great. What happened was, he obviously was a good student to begin with, but when he got there, I had teachers calling me. They didn't call my ex-husband who lived in Utah. They called me to let me know that they were really appreciative of the fact that he was a flexible thinker. Like that he could get through. He didn't just see the material for what it was, but because I had taught him how to think flexibly, we had taught him how to think flexibly. He did so well. Mm-hmm. And so I think that that's really so much of what Waldorf is about, is it teaches you to think differently. And for the moms that are like diving into it and they're already like, oh man, I got to think differently. But it as you learn step by step, it brings you to a place of, wow, I wish I had had this when I was a kid, but I'm so glad I can bring it to my children. I think so often moms think they come to Waldorf for their kids and they end up coming to Waldorf for themselves because it heals your education. Like I can't even imagine, you and I both went through, I went through a private school, he went through public schools, through our entire schooling, went to college, and so there's all of this like back stuff in our education, but this has healed all of that. Don't you think? Mm-hmm. I feel like that that really and truly the education that this method provides at home, and definitely in a Waldorf school setting as well, is second to none. I think that in the home setting, it is an amazing way to educate your children from a homeschooling perspective. And so I think that really and truly, if you are like thinking about joining our Thinking, Feeling, Willing program, and you are trying to decide, hey, whether or not this is a good investment for your family, I suppose the things that dads often want to know are like, what does it come down to? So we train mom, and we don't just train mom. We actually have several, not more than 20, but out of the, almost 1,000 people or 1,200 people that we have in our program, probably not more than 20, but husband and wife teams that teach together. And so they both have logins on our site. They're both, they're both actively involved. That doesn't mean that if you're not, it's bad. It's interesting to me that both mom and dad in some cases are there. We always welcome dad. We always welcome emails from dad, communication from dad. If dad wants to log into the site, all of those things, because I think it's good when dad knows what's going on at home during the day and homeschooling.
Well, and both dad and mom, they all both have different things and experiences they bring to the table. Right,
absolutely. I think that one of the things that that I was so excited about when we got married. When we got married, our big kids were 9, 7, and 5. And I was really excited because you talked about all this science stuff that came like easy to you. And it was like I was holding my breath about that stuff. And so what's been nice is the science and math Eric often takes on. And we have a lot of dads that are working with their wives as they're going through the program, and dads are stepping in and going, hey, I'm strong in this, or I'm strong in something else, and really stepping in and wanting to be part of that experience, because that's really truly like the best homeschooling experience, is when both mom and dad can really homeschool together. Mm-hmm. Even if it's not all the subjects, even if it's just this little bit here and there that, that's something that dad is really good at and he really wants to bring to kids. I think that it's pretty magical when they can work together.
Well, one thing that helped when we met, because I wasn't as familiar with homeschooling.
He was in school to be a teacher. I just think that's funny.
Yeah, but in hindsight,
he was glad he walked away from that. Eric you have a degree in film and a degree in journalism.
So yeah. I spent 7 years as a newspaper reporter in eastern Idaho, and primarily I was covering education. So I was in schools a lot, and I had to deal with state issues that had to do with education, and some of it was a head scratcher to me, because there was talk of there was there was teachers complaining that they felt like all they were doing was getting these kids to pass the test. And there were people at the state that were freaking out. Oh, the kids in China are ahead of our kids, and the kids in Finland are ahead of our kids. And, and I thought, but they're kids. Comparing them to kids from other cultures that have other things
totally
going
different,
on.
right?
And freaking out about whether they scored higher on a different test than the test that they're going to give the kids here, and putting all this emphasis on it. I thought, I don't even know if anybody's getting anywhere. It sounds really crazy to me. And
Well, it's kind of like comparing apple juice and orange juice, I think.
So
sometimes.
the more I did that job for 7 years at 2 different newspapers, and I thought, okay, this doesn't make any sense. And when we met, it clicked. I was like, okay, that's like all the things that I worried about was not happening for kids, I see happening here.
I remember, because he used to have to go to school board meetings, and I remember I was big and pregnant with Sam, big belly, and we went in, and the superintendent of the Idaho Falls School District, he put his hand on my belly, and he said, which is like, you shouldn't, granted it was kind of a friendly situation, so it wasn't like he was a complete stranger. We knew him through church too, but it was just kind of funny. He put his hand on my belly. He said, yep, we'll get him soon too. And I looked at him and said, oh, no, you won't. And he was really confused. There were a lot of superintendents that were super confused about why you reported on education and why you homeschooled. And I thought, if that's not a testament to like what in the heck is going on in schools, I don't know what is. I think there's so much that, so many reasons that people bring their kids home today, whether it be bullying in school. When you were working in the paper, he covered like sex offenders in school, super scary. But lots of like teachers not doing their due diligence. So many different reasons why people homeschool, and then you throw in there because they feel called to homeschool. That was us. I definitely felt like the Spirit said, this is where you're supposed to be. And thank goodness it did. That was so many years ago. But I think that there's so many different reasons why people choose to homeschool. And, I think we should bust through some of the barriers that dads often come up with. And I think one is socialization.
Yeah.
I think dads worry their kids are going to be the weird homeschool kids. And
there's a lot of stereotypes, and we've all heard them. And sometimes
there are weird homeschool kids. Listen, we've been around some weird kids sometimes.
Yeah.
And usually I will tell their moms, hey, I work with families.
Well,
let's work to
the stereotype of like the feral homeschool kid.
Oh, there's the one that's the unschool kid that doesn't brush their teeth, that always has a TV on. It's always crazy.
Yes.
And yeah, I mean, while that exists, that's really not. That's not what we do, and that's not what we teach, and that's not what we help families do. I think that really and truly, what you see in the public school system with regards to socialization is children that know how to socialize with their own age group and not much else. I think about, we have our son that's 12. He comes home from his guys meeting with church, and he's like, and I go, what's wrong? And he's like, these boys, they're so crazy. And then when they all get together, like all the ages, they don't know how to act. And here he is like calm, respectful, doesn't get it. And it's not because he's socially weird. It's because we have to really look at this idea that children can only socialize within their social group. And homeschooling kids often can socialize within any social group. And it's often, you don't see the barriers of age as much. And that's a good thing. I mean, it's a good thing that you can send a 12-year-old to hang out with a 5-year-old and they'll be all right.
Yeah.
I think that one of the worries about socialization is that they're not getting enough. We always recommend that you do get some, and we work with families with regards to that and whether or not they're getting enough. Often what happens with homeschoolers is they go, oh, that's my license to do everything. So then they schedule their kids out to the nines, and the mom is running ragged, and dad is like, why are we spending so much money on classes and all that? So we recommend one extracurricular activity in addition to like a church or civic organization a week. And then, maybe a play group or something. Our kids have karate 4 days a week. They have a homeschool co-op 1 day a week. They have church activities twice a week. And then they are usually with a friend once a week. If you look at socialization from the perspective of what's actually needed for their developmental age, I think you'll find that most kids are getting enough. Excuse me.
Well, and we've had people give us compliments about our kids and how they're able to interact with others and be respectful and articulate themselves. We've gotten compliments like that from really random places and unexpected places, and that feels pretty good.
It does. I think what's interesting is most people expect, people in the mainstream expect that if there's a child around, they're going to have some device going constantly. Mm-hmm. And I think that, one of the things, we're not device-driven family. We have some, for sure. Yeah. And we have fun with those, for sure. But we are not a device-driven family. And so when you see children that actually know how to interact with other people rather than have their face in a phone or a Game Boy or something, it's I think, really odd for some people. I remember that time Eric and I were out on a date and we were at Panera or something, and there was an elderly couple, and it was obvious they were there with their grandkids. And the grandkids had, and I don't know about you, but when I hang out with my grandma, I want to hang out with my grandma. I don't want to be in my phone. And even as a kid, I wanted to hang out with my grandma. I wouldn't have wanted to be in some device. But these kids had headphones on, and each of them had an iPad in front of them. Yeah. And the grandparents just sat there eating their lunch, and I swear they looked like they were confused.
Yeah,
what are we doing here? And why can these kids not eat their lunch without an iPad? That was nuts. Yeah. But we see that so often. And I think we have used it as a Band-Aid for our culture, where we go from, having it as an entertainment device to having it as something that needs to be on all the time. Yeah. So we really work to have that in balance with regards to, those kinds of things with Waldorf education and with homeschooling too. That doesn't mean you're not going to come home and have mom curled up on the couch in front of the TV sometimes, because it happens. It happens to me even. It's all good. I was trying to think of some of the other things that dads are worried about.
Well, I mean, a big worry is how much it costs, how much our program definitely costs. But the thing about that is, when you look at, there are other groups out there that charge a lot more for less.
Absolutely.
And they're not actually
they don't
doing
get the support,
what we're doing at
right.
the same, because we're homeschooling our kids right now.
Right.
We're the people that are also homeschooling. And we've been doing it for
a long time.
More than 10 years.
We are the only curriculum provider that has homeschooled
15 years.
The entire time. Our oldest is 22. He's gone all the way. He went all the way through. Our youngest is going to be 8 on Monday. And we've homeschooled all the way through. So we're the only provider that actually knows what that looks like all the time. And we have 5 children. So we understand, teaching many children, the frustrations that come with that, trying to sort through getting lesson plans set together, all of those things. So, we understand families. We understand, and Eric is a great resource for that, because he talks to dads often about hey, this is how you navigate this, and this is the best way to navigate that. So there's definitely that we're working on together. We work together. I want to tackle this because this one comes up not often, but I get it every now and again. And you used to be in the workplace before you came home to work in our workplace. Mm-hmm. What would you say to the dad that's like, I don't want my kid to be weird. I don't want friends of mine to think I've got the weird kid that has to homeschool or that homeschools. So what would you say to that dad, other than get over it, because it's not about you, it's about your child. Yeah. But it comes up. So what would you say to that dad? What would you say to somebody in the workplace that, that thought your kid was weird?
Well, I mean, I guess it comes down to what's more important, what the guy at work thinks of you, or what you're providing for your children.
Amen to that.
I think if you put that in perspective, then what the coworker thinks of you is immaterial.
I think you're absolutely right.
But I mean, I do see that at times. There's people that they just, there's lots of, in society, there's a fear of if I'm not like everybody else, then.
Right. What does that say about me if I'm not like everybody else?
Yeah.
Sure.
But being like everybody else isn't super often what it's
right.
cracked
What
up
was
to
it
be.
that saying when we were children that our mothers used to say, if everybody walked off a cliff, would you go too? I don't know how many times she said that to me. A lot.
Yeah.
But I think that there's definitely that. I also think that because we've had this recently with some couples where dad's like, she already does weird things. She already wanted to breastfeed our kid till they were 4. She already cloth diapered. She already eats different food. I don't like quinoa. Like all of that whole like thing about, so we're already weird enough. Do we have to do this too?
Yeah.
And I think that with regards to that, again, you have to just step aside and not own your weird. I think one of my favorite quotes was from Dr. Wayne Dyer, who has been my hero for a lot of years. I've listened to him for longer than I've known Eric. One of the things that he said, the only thing he ever had to give up with regards to being more enlightened and being able to walk forward and not be bogged down by society, was the only thing he had to give up was fitting in.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty small compared to life in general.
Well, so many people would choose fitting in over being happy.
Right.
And life's too short.
Well, and some people I think equate fitting in with being happy.
But it's, it tends to, because you can't
always fit in. You're gonna be a square peg in somebody else's round hole eventually.
Yeah, I mean, the more you try to please everybody, the more you don't please anybody.
Yeah.
Including yourself.
Very good. Well, if there's anybody that's listening that has any questions, we're happy to answer questions. I thought we'd dive into the program. I want dads to know what what mom gets for what your family gets for the price, and then also some payment options. We also want to invite you to check out the landing page. You can find that at thinkingfeelingwilling.com. In fact, I will put it here in the comments on Facebook. That way you have it, and I'll also put it in the profile at over at Instagram. So the program is 17 lessons that come down to it takes you through all of the steps, teaching mom how to homeschool with Waldorf, how to run a home, how to have more peace in your home, how to she's looking at herself. She's probably often going to ask you to look at yourself, deciding how she shows up and really getting to know herself, and in turn helping her be a better mom. And what tends to happen, and I actually saw a bunch of these comments today from Thinking, Feeling, Willing moms as I was talking to them. They said, not only have I become a better mom, but because I became a better mom, he became a better dad. And now we have a better marriage. Mm-hmm. Who doesn't want a hotter marriage? That's a good thing. So there's 17 lessons, and within those lessons, it's a college level course that sort of takes you through each step. And I say it's a college level course because I went to college, and dang, I think some of our moms work way harder in this than they ever did in college. Mm-hmm. So it takes you through. It's set up to help you know when things are complete. And it's also set up for you to come back and do year after year. So you have lifetime access to it. It also includes all the curriculum that you need for your journey, for all of your grades, for all of the kids. And you pay one time, and it's good for everybody. So you're, like I said, you're paying once, and then you have, where some curriculum costs this much for 1 year, ours costs this much for all the years. And you get the training with it. We're also, like I said, we're mentors and coaches. So Eric and I are always around. We run things pretty equally together. So sometimes you get him an email, sometimes you get me an email, unless you request one of us specifically. And it's specific to your issue, then we'll be for sure answered appropriately. We also have a great assistant. Her name is Kelly, and she works with sort of helping everybody get situated. So the program, like I said, includes 17 modules. We are adding to it constantly. When we launched this in November, we only had 15 modules.
Yeah.
And now we have 17 modules. So it's continuing to grow. You're always grandfathered in as we continue to grow. So you're not going to like outgrow this. We have weekly check-in calls. I have office hours every week. So mom or dad is always welcome to hop in and say, hey, take a look at my lessons. What do you think about this? Or, hey, I had this behavioral issue over the weekend. Can you help me with that? So, I'm definitely here for that. And I'll be here every week for that. We also have leaders that have become leaders with our company, and they are sort of local in areas across the United States, and we're hoping to grow that so that we're in a spot where you've got feet on the ground and you've always got somebody that can help you. So I guess we should talk about pricing. So it's one payment of $697, and that includes, again, everything that we talked about. It also includes hard copies. So I know a lot of people prefer to have hard copies, so it includes hard copies, and those are sent to you for the ones you need each year. And we're not sending you all of them all at once. And the reason why, the wisdom behind that is, you don't want all of them at once. We make updates periodically, and if I sent them all to you now, those are the ones you're gonna have to hang on to, because we will only send one copy of grade 1. Only send one copy of grade 2 kind of thing. So you want to just order the ones you need for the time being. So you can do one payment of $697. You can do 2 payments of $348.50, or you can break that into 6 payments of $145. The 6 payment method is more money overall. I'm just sort of letting you know that it takes more of us to sort of manage all of that. So we have to recoup that on the back end. There is an option to pay with PayPal credit, and then you have no interest for 6 months. So that should be one of your options when you check out. You can access the sales page at thinkingfeelingwilling.com, and you can always hop on here and grab us. We're on Instagram, and you can grab us in DMs there, or you can grab us on Facebook here, and we can help you there. So I think that's all I want to talk about. Are we good? We're in good shape?
I think so.
All right. If you have any questions, just let us know. We're happy to help you.
Let either one of us know.
Yes. Oh, also, the card is only open until next Thursday. I should talk about a couple of extra things really quick. The card is only open until next Thursday. We keep the card open for short periods of time, because that way we can onboard everybody that comes in, and we can do all of the new training at once. So the card will be open until next Thursday. And if you purchase by tomorrow, Thursday, this Thursday as in tomorrow, we have $50 in free product from Mercurius, which is a Waldorf homeschool supplier. So, and it's free, $50 of your choice. You can pick whatever you want, and I'll be happy to order that for you. But that closes tomorrow. So you'll have until the 25th before the cart closes completely. All right.
All right.
That's all. I hope you guys have a great night.
Let's have a good evening.
Bye.